We are talking today about how to start consulting on the side alongside your full-time job or part-time job or job search or school or whatever you're doing. Most of the time, you could start consulting alongside that, and that's our topic. Yeah. So we are here on LinkedIn Live every single Thursday, unless there's unusual circumstances, in which case I'll let you know in advance. But we're typically here on Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, talking about career and workplace topics and entrepreneurial and um, HR and leadership topics. And so today, the topic is how to start consulting on the side. So go ahead and put a message in the chat and just tell us where you're joining us from, where you're based. It's fun to see folks coming on board for these LinkedIn live sessions from all over the world. So go ahead and just give us a shout out in the comments, and now or at any point during the presentation. So, yeah, we've got this topic, which is consulting on the side. And it means having a part time consulting business, even if you have a full time job or you're a student or you're job hunting, whatever you're doing, you can also consult alongside your job. And this is really an important topic to understand because of the way the working world has changed over the 40, it really is 40 years that I've been working. The change has been incredible, momentous, really earth-shaking. How the working world has fundamentally changed. And I'm going to start today's talk by getting into that. When I was a little kid, my dad had the same job for my entire childhood and then beyond into my adulthood until I was what in my late 20s. My dad took early retirement from his company and he and my mom started a business of their own. But he worked for the same company for 38 years, maybe something like that. And that was very, very, very common back then. In fact, most of the people I knew had a job for a really long time. And now that's almost unheard of. Unless you work for the government, it's very difficult to even find a job where you can stay for a long, long time. But I'm old enough to remember doing new employee orientation meetings on Mondays, always on Mondays, welcoming the new employees. And I would say things like, I hope you have a really long and wonderful career here at our company. That was the normal thing to say. It was right in the orientation materials, it was in the handbook a long time. We hope to work with you for a long time. That was the company's goal. And for many of the employees, that was their goal too, because it wasn't normal to change jobs every couple of years. I have a friend who's an HR person, a lot of HR friends, of course, being a HR person basically myself. And one of my HR friends said that she gave an orientation presentation to a group of new employees, 30 or 40 new employees. And she said, pull out your booklet in the stack of materials I gave you. It's about our 401k plan, our retirement plan. This is our long-term incentive. Let's talk about it because it's all about retirement. And the class burst out laughing. They just thought it was the funniest thing because they don't expect to retire from that job. And she said, as I thought about it, I realized it sounded like I don't expect to retire from this job either. Basically, very few to none of us expect to retire from the job we have, if there even is such a thing as retirement when we get to that age, because the working world has changed so much. When I was a young HR person, I used to go to HR meetings like crazy. I told my boss when he put me in as HR manager, I had been a manager, but I had never worked in HR before. And now I'm HR manager for the company. I said, my request really my condition for being willing to step into this role that you want me to take, HR manager, is I have to go to every HR training there is in Chicago, where I was living at the time. I have to go to all of them because I don't know anything about the laws or whatever. It turns out it's not that big of a deal. Kind of like we're talking about with consulting, you're pretty unlikely to break laws, to break employment laws, especially in the US where they don't have as many. You're pretty unlikely to break employment laws if you're otherwise managing your team in a human way. It's, you have to pay them correctly. Of course, you can't discriminate, can't sexually harass people. You're probably going to be okay. But I went to, I'd say 20 to 30 HR seminars and workshops because I told my boss, I have to do it. I don't know this stuff. He said, fine. So that was great because when I went to these workshops, they were always talking about one thing. This is 1984. I mean, girls just want to have fun. You know what I mean? This is a long time ago. They were talking about one thing, and that thing was called the fraying social contract. Fraying, like a rope that's falling apart at the end. What does it mean? They were talking about the fact that they knew economists and futurists and pundits and people who look at social trends and changes knew that work was going to change, that outsourcing was going to become a big deal, that 10 years on the job were going to shrink from 20 years to 10 years to 8 years to 5 years to 3 years, which is about what it is now. 3 years on average in a job. It's like the glaciers starting to melt and carving off into ice flows. And now the ice flow is going out into the ocean and it's getting smaller. The working world, they told us back when I was a kid, they said it's going to change so much. And we as HR people have to change too. And we have to get ready for this. And we have to prepare our employees for this. So it did change, but we didn't do anything on the corporate side, really didn't do anything. In fact, I have to tell you guys, most organizations would, what social contract? What are you talking about? No, 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 there was though. There was an expectation when my father took that job in 1950, years before I was born, or a gleam in his eye. I'm the sixth out of 8 kids in our family. And way back then, when he took a job, he fully expected to retire from that company, and they expected it too, and he did. And all of his colleagues did. That was normal. And the fact that we don't talk about the fact that that's unheard of now, that is gaslighting, folks. That is when they talk about gaslighting, that's gaslighting. Not acknowledging that the old working world is gone and it's not coming back. Not adjusting the way we hire. Why would it take 3 months to get a job when you have no certain period of time you're going to be working for, but you're almost positive you're not going to be working there for 10 years? That's gaslighting. It's like gaslighting by omission, by not telling the truth. And I'm disappointed in I guess myself and all of us in HR that we haven't taken more steps to be more honest about the fact that work is not what it was, and the employer side of the equation has not kept up. We don't communicate with candidates differently. We don't shorten and simplify the hiring process, given that people are not going to probably be with the company for 10 years anymore. We have not made those adjustments. We haven't even acknowledged how much harder it is now to manage a career for 40, 45 years because you're not going to be with the same company. People used to be able to relax in their job and just be there and just be with their friends at work and do a good job and not worry. Now everyone's worried because jobs go away. The company's bought, the company's sold, they carve off a division, they lay people off. It's happening right now in technology. I'm seeing every day on LinkedIn and Twitter. I got laid off from Zulily. I got laid off from Klarna. I got laid off from this tech startup, that tech startup. Big tech firms just lay off, lay off, lay off. Here's another thing. When I was a new HR person, if you got laid off, you got a month of pay for every year of service. That was the norm. So if you worked for a company for 10 years, you got 10 months of severance. 10 months of severance. What would that mean to you? Not worried about the rent or the mortgage for 10 months and your bills? Companies thought it was the right thing to do. And now people get 6 weeks, they get nothing. People say to me all the time, a couple of my coworkers got laid off. They got 3 months of severance. Maybe I should stick it out. If I get laid off, I'll get 3 months. I say, don't, because those things tend to go down as subsequent layoffs occur. It's like compassion fatigue, and they just don't pay as much severance. And then it's like no severance. And that's legal in the United States. That's a whole nother topic. It's wrong. It's unethical. It's horrible. It's inhuman. You can get laid off legally in the United States through no fault of your own and get no severance and no notice and no support and no help. And also your health insurance goes away same day. Oh yeah, by the way, no health insurance. You can pay for it if you want to. You can pay for your health insurance directly. It's called Cobra. It's like $1,500 a month per person, but it's your choice if you have huge stacks of cash laying around. So it's not that great. So what do we have to do to respond to this changing, dramatically changing working world? My feeling is we have to take control and be CEOs now. We have to be CEOs of our own careers and our own lives, because employers are not going to manage your career for you anymore. They did. They did. Another thing I remember from my HR days is that every job, every entry level job in our company, like customer service rep, inside sales rep, or sales assistant, HR coordinator, all of the entry level jobs had a whole career path written out and shared with the new employee. Here's the career path. In about 2 to 3 years, you'll do a good job. You'll be promoted to outside sales, and then you'll be promoted to this, and then you'll be promoted to that. And it was just laid out. And the training was offered. Oh, by the way, Sally, your training for inside sales, senior level is next Thursday. Okay, great. So it was like training and work and support and community all in one package, all in one building. It's not, they don't do that anymore. It's gone. I say the corporate ladder, that was the image we had, a ladder. You climb that ladder. It's sawdust now. It's like termites got into it and ate it all up, and now it's sawdust on the floor. There's no ladder. You have to climb up like a boulder hill, and sometimes you go left, sometimes you go right. You have to make your own way because companies are not doing it anymore for you. And that means you have to take control. You have to know what your talents are and who might need them if your current employer decides they don't. Or if your current employer still wants you, but the situation becomes untenable and you don't want to be there anymore. And sadly, that happens all the time because people write and then I see their messages in my inbox. Job was great. My boss left. They got promoted. I got a new boss from hell. I can't stay here. It's horrible. I need to get out. And a great, great way, the best way that I know to grow those muscles and become the CEO of your career and by extension your life is to start a part-time consulting business. Because when you're consulting just a teeny bit, one client, and you do a little project for them every 2 months, and they pay you $1,000 each time, $1,500. It's not about the money, it's about the relationship. You know what you're doing for them and why they're paying you. Sometimes in the full-time working world, maybe you've run into this, your boss can make you feel like they're doing you a favor by having you on the payroll. And you have to really work hard to please them. And it might have nothing to do with actually producing the work. It's just pleasing them as a person, like coming in on Saturday, even when there's nothing urgent to be done on Saturday. I got stuff to do at home on Saturday. No, no, no. I need you here. And they use fear as a weapon, as a motivator. Well, I need to see you here. Why can't you come in? What are you doing on Saturday? I mean, you're afraid to say, it's none of your business because it's Saturday. You're afraid to say it because it's your boss. I want you to get stronger, more confident, feel more credible, feel more willing to talk to more people, and to feel that if this job became less appealing or went away, it would be more of an inconvenience than it would be devastating to you. That's what I want for you. To grow stronger. And starting a part-time consulting business is a golden way, the best way I know to get there. Let's take a pause and look at some of the comments and see what folks are saying. If you haven't commented, please do, and just tell us where you're from. South Africa, Virginia, London, Canada. That must be in Ontario, but I don't know. What did I say that? Maybe it's not. Please correct me if it's somewhere else in Canada. I don't know why I thought that. Just because I don't know. English. Dubai, beautiful. Sunny from Toronto. Welcome. Virginia again. Croatia. Oh my gosh. Welcome, welcome from the UK. Panama City, Florida. Canada, beautiful. Edmonton. Vail, Arizona. So magnificent. Alabama, Austin, Texas, Canada, Brunswick, Georgia, Toronto, Canada, Wisconsin, and UK. Orlando. Brussels, if you know that reference, I just sang Orlando in a certain pitches. If you know what I'm talking about, put it in the comments. Brussels, fantastic. Welcome, Shoreline, Washington, Madison, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, welcome, Seattle, New York, Utah, Minneapolis, Wellington. Everybody is here. I'm so glad. North Cyprus, yay. Southampton, UK, Zambia, India. Hello from the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, bienvenue, monsieur, Fort Lauderdale. Hi from Vancouver, Oman, nice. Okay, wow, I'd just love to talk to all you folks from Brazzaville, Republic of the Congo. So happy to see you. Oh my gosh, from Kentucky. Had a lot of fun in Kentucky. Love all your posts. You've shared them on multiple occasions. Let us know our rights as employees. How can you stand up for yourself? Yes, joining from India. So happy that you're here. Burlington, Vermont. Oh, so gorgeous. So beautiful. Okay, I wish I could look at all of the comments and talk exactly. DRC, yay. So yes, this is a 15-year-old issue. Yeah, you're right. It's 25, 35 years old. This social contract has been fraying like a rope that's coming apart at one end, and we can't stop it. We have to take control now, right? We have to take, okay. My boss held me back from changing positions because I was too good at doing my current job, Jenny. That's when you know. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about this for a second. Your boss said, no, you can't transfer. I'm going to use my power to keep you under my thumb, to keep you here. But then you say, but the world is big, sweetie. The world is big. All you can do, the only power you have, dear boss of mine, is here in this building. You have no power over me in the big wide world. I can leave. And if you thwart me in my intentions in my life to do the things that I want to do and that I'm capable of doing, you will not keep me. You can't keep water from flowing. You can't keep a person who wants to do more in their career. You can't keep them down, right? They will go, they will leave, they will be gone, and then you will wish you had let them transfer so at least they'd still be in the company, right? My number one piece of advice for HR people, apart from give everyone a contract, right, is to change whatever outdated policy might still be on the books, that managers have the power to stop a person who wants to transfer. What? You're going to make it easier for them to leave the company altogether than to go to another department? That's idiotic. That's stupid. That's bad management. Okay. Yeah. So it is. Yes, it is a bad leader. So true, Elaine. Yes, most work is not contractual, especially in the US. In the US, we don't do contracts. We need to. Starbucks is saying we're going to. Amazon is saying, yes, you're going to have contracts. What's going to be interesting is when Starbucks employees have a better deal, better rights, more rights than the managers they report to, because those managers are not unionized, and the store employees are going to be unionized, and it's going to be very interesting. And maybe these white collar managers sitting at a desk will realize, why have I been giving heart and soul and my whole life to this job with no assurance of anything at all in terms of job security? So we're talking about starting a part-time consulting business. We're talking partly about job security because we're talking about marketability. And your marketability these days and your belief in yourself, that is job security. It's not job security in terms of one job, but it's income security in terms of your whole life. If you know that you can make money in more than one way. Yes, you can work on a payroll job. You can go get a payroll job. That's great, of course. But if you also know that you have a way to make money on the side, and you can do it at night and on the weekend and whenever you're not working for your employer, That's power. I talk to people all the time who got laid off, or they're being told you might be laid off. And some of them say, I'm at my wit's end, Liz. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm furiously sending out resumes. Now, this might be a 45, 50-year-old person who's worked for years and years, but they don't feel comfortable in that. Doesn't give them confidence, well, I'm sure to get a job because they know that that isn't the key. Employer, sometimes employers sadly would rather have somebody with very little experience because they can pay them less. But if they get laid off or they're afraid they're going to get laid off and they say, well, I guess I'll ramp up my consulting. I've been doing it a little bit, bringing in like $2,000, $2,500 a month. I'm going to ramp it up. I'm going to get it up to 45, 55, $6,000 a month, and then I won't worry. Wow, that's all the difference in the world because they're already out there. The hard part of consulting, there's not really a hard part. I mean, I am reformed. I was terrified. People said when I was a corporate HR person, you should be a consultant. I was like, oh, no, no, no. I was terrified because consultants came to see me. I had consultants that worked with us and they just seemed so like they had their act together more than I did. And they were smarter and they were more confident. And I didn't feel like I could be them, you know? I just felt like it would be scary to be talking to clients and I don't know how to do it. And they said, "Girl, it's not." I was a hostess when I was in college. I was a hostess at a restaurant at the front. You know that job where people come in the door and you don't have a coat on, so like it's a revolving door or a regular door that you push and it's freezing or a million degrees and you're getting the heat or the cold and you say, "Hi, how many tonight?" "Okay, well here's follow me." And the wait staff, the servers are getting mad at you. "I need more bigger tables in my section," or "You're putting too many people in my section," or whatever. And I'm keeping the smile on. "Welcome, la la la." And I have to dress really nicely every day because I'm a hostess. And the servers would say to me, "I don't know what's wrong with you, Liz. You should wait tables. You make so much more money. You're getting minimum wage at the front of the restaurant. Just be a server." And I was like, "I'm afraid of it. What if it's scary? What if it's hard?" They said, "It's not hard." And one day I said to the manager, "When you have a server opening, would you let me serve?" And he said, "Sure. You know the menu. You know everything." I started. It wasn't hard. I just thought it was hard. And then I started serving and I was like, "Oh, now I have $85 in my pocket in cash." And when I was a host here, last week, I would leave the end of my shift, have no cash, and I would be waiting for my paycheck of $41. So it's a big, big difference. Stepping through fear. These things that we hear are scary, they're not scary. And here's the thing, who benefits when you think that something is scary? The people who want to keep control over you, like Jenny's boss who said, "You can't transfer." Really, watch me. Watch me transfer right out of this company, and you will not see me again. You'll be in my rear view mirror because I'm more powerful than that. I'm not what? Oh, should I stay here forever until you decide you want to lay me off? Like what? Do you run my life, babes? No, you know. So, yeah, so I stepped into waiting on tables, and then I was like, "Why did I think this was hard?" I think I thought it was hard because I saw them scurrying back and forth to the kitchen and talking to the customers, and sometimes the customers would be upset, and well, so what? Sometimes people all over are upset. It's not a big deal. I had upset customers when I was a host yelling at me. It's just fear. And the cure for fear is just take a tiny little step, and it took a few of these wait staff people saying, "Just do it, just try it. What can go wrong?" And I was like, "What was I afraid of?" Same exact thing with consulting. Oh, I was terrified. I'm not consulting. And I said to a few of my consultants that I worked with, "Is it scary?" They were like, "No, I just came from the grocery store." I have some non-perishable groceries in my car right now, and when I leave you, I'm gonna go whatever. I'm gonna go work out, and then I'm gonna make a casserole. It's not scary. They said, "Look, you do HR right now. You work way harder than I do. You're here in this office 8, 9, 10 hours a day, taking care of thousands of people and running around, and you have a million priorities and projects and your boss and budget meetings and politics. I don't deal with any of that. I just consult." Client says, "I need this." I say, "Well, have you thought of that?" "Oh, that's a great idea." They said, People listen to my ideas more because I'm a consultant and they're paying me for the ideas. Liz, you would be a good consultant. Just don't be afraid. Just try it." And I got lucky because a business owner down the street needed my help. And I literally walked down the same street after work with my little notepad and said, "We have no HR at all." And I said, "None? You pay people?" He said, "That's literally it. We pay people." And I said, "Oh, well, you need, a handbook. You need some posters on the back of your break room door. Nothing complicated." And I did that work and I grew an inch. And believe me, I needed that inch. And I was like, that's all it is. That's all consulting is giving people things that you know that they don't. I'm down. Let's do this. And now I'm passionate, obviously, about teaching people how to consult too. So how would you start consulting alongside your current job or job search? Well, the first thing that you would do is find a pain point you can solve. That gentleman, all those years ago that I helped with his non-HR department, um, his pain point was he knew he needed some very basic pieces of HR. He was out of compliance with every law, every rule, every whatever. He was flying under the radar. He needed somebody to fill in a gap. He didn't need a big strategic HR plan. He just needed the basics. And so for a while, that's the kind of part-time consulting I did. And I didn't do a lot of it. I had a very busy full-time job. And then after a while, I had kids too. But I kept a little toe in the water and it helped me. That money feels different. That money feels different when you consult because it's a direct result of your effort and your talents. We don't always feel that at work. We don't always feel that, like the boss who says, "You may not transfer." They sound like the Lord of the Manor and like it's a favor for them to even have you here. And if I'm good enough to keep you on the payroll, then you go by my rules. It's not like that in consulting. It's not like that. They know they need your help, and that's a great feeling, isn't it? When somebody knows they need your help and they ask you for help, a friend, a family member, and they say, "What would you do? Mohammed, how would you solve this problem? Walida, how would you help me?" And you say, "Oh, well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Oh, Walida, you're so good at this. You're really good." You know you have that ability to help people. So the question is, as you think about getting started as a part-time consultant, what kind of pain could you solve? Not big, far-reaching. They're probably not going to hire a sole proprietor, individual, independent consultant to do their whole corporate strategy, but there might be a small thing. Like my small thing, we have no HR at all. Oh, okay. Well, I can put in the basics. And then later, after I did a ton of recruiting, I switched it over to, well, I can help you recruit better. Are you having recruiting problems? You're not getting responses to your job ads. People are dropping out of the process. Well, that's my sweet spot. I can help you with that, right? I'll help you with that by writing better job ads and having a better process when resumes come in. The initial email that you send to candidates is going to be friendlier. It's going to be warmer. You're going to keep them more interested. None of it is rocket science. This is information I give away for free on LinkedIn, but people wanted my specific help. Help me do this. Fine, help you do it. I know that you have at least one or two or three things like that that you could really help somebody right away and get paid 40, 50, 60, $70 an hour, $100 an hour, $200 an hour, depending on how big the pain is. Does it make sense? I would love for you to think about this. How could I start a part-time consulting business, make some extra money that feels different, grow my own strength, grow my own credibility, confidence, visibility? Question: Can you tell us about certifications and licenses needed for a consultancy career in the US? Is it a must to have US credentials? Nix on that. No, there's no certification or license needed to consult in the US. You can consult out of your own social security number. A lot of people will incorporate a business, and you can literally do that online for $50 with a credit card or PayPal. Boom, come up with a business name and you're good to go. You have to pay taxes, of course, but unless it's a specific kind of consulting, like architecture, where the building could fall over and hurt someone or something like that, you don't need a certification or a license in the United States to consult. And when you ask a great question, is it a must to have US credentials? No, you could consult right now. If you're outside of the US, you can consult to US companies. There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't do that. Probably have to pay US taxes. I'm not sure. You might want to talk to a lawyer, if you, especially if you know somebody, but it's not a big deal. People think it's a big deal to get my consulting business started. It's ridiculously easy to start a business. Easier, much easier to start a business than get a new job. And it could be a teeny tiny business. It doesn't have to get big. There's nothing on pressure on you that says, "Oh, I have to grow this business." Why? Why? Right? I sang, I've mentioned before on these sessions at weddings and funerals all throughout my 20s and early 30s. And it was opportunistic. I didn't go out marketing. It was just people pass my name along. I'll do it. It's fun, extra money. It's cool. Great. Meet people, sing some songs, and that's it. So this is not, I don't want to put more pressure on you. You have so much pressure, right? But this is just something. Question from Amjad. Love the topic. Why consulting specifically versus what? you know, versus what else would it be? Start a, you know, get an ice cream truck and drive it around. That'd be cool, right? But I'm joking with you, obviously. It's a perfectly fine question. But why consulting? Because it's obvious. It's like, here's you already operating out in the working world. You can do that. Just turn your focus to people who are not your current employer. It's the easiest thing in the world. Okay. You're a bit late, Brian. No problem. You're very welcome to be here. Exactly, but within the same company. Yep, yep, yep. Need to know how to be a 1099 independent consultant in New York. Field offer already from New York-based firm. This is it. You're in the right place, Marie. That's exactly what we're talking about. 1099, you don't even need to incorporate. Unless they want you to incorporate, you can just work under your social security number and fill out the 10 W-9 or whatever, the initial form. A 1099, for folks who are not familiar, is in the United States, when you work a regular job on the payroll, you fill out a form called a W-4 when you start a job. And it says, here's my name, here's my address, here's my social security number, and here's the exemptions I'm claiming. So they know how much money to keep, out of your paycheck for taxes. When you work not on a payroll, just directly for a company, then you're called a 1099 person or independent contractor, because at the end of the year, they're going to send you a 1099 form that just tells how much they paid you during the last year. So you can use that for your taxes, and they won't take taxes out. So as a consultant, you have to remember that they're not taking taxes out. If they pay you $1,000, you better make sure, I got to put $225 aside or whatever, because I got to pay taxes, right? That's it. That's like the one little thing you got to remember as a consultant. But there's nothing complicated, Marie. You could take that offer from the firm in New York if you like what they're offering you. You need to have some kind of little contract, and you can download consulting contract online 1,000 places on the internet. So I think there's a lot of misleading information out there, like, oh, it's hard to be a consultant. No, it couldn't be any easier. And I'm a zealot for getting people to step into their power as consultants, part-time or full-time, because the working world today demands it. We can't say, oh, my employer is going to take care of me. What? No, they're not. No, they're super not. They are not. From Ghana, welcome, David Madasi, for joining us. Okay, how do we hone in on who wants my expertise? It's not about your expertise, Rodney, so much as it is about what pain can you solve for them. We do think, oh, well, I have this experience. Where can I bring it? You have experience for sure, but you have other instincts. You have experience outside of work. You have a point of view. What's a pain point? I want you to look at the landscape of the people you know and the organizations around you and say, what problem could I solve? And it might be something you've never done before, Rodney. I meet so many young people, 20, 21, 22. They have a business card. And like they're selling me a phone at the AT&T store, but they have their own business card. I say, "What is your other business?" "Oh, my other business, I do, website design." "Oh, how'd you learn website design?" "YouTube." YouTube. They didn't go to school for it, right? Why would you go to school for that? You could learn it on YouTube. They got a book, Web Design for Dummies. It cost 12.95, and they taught themselves. I said, "So who'd you design your first website for?" "My cousin." Beautiful. Signed a website for the cousin. That was the school. That was the training. They learned a lot. The first website they charged very little, $250, because they said, "Look, I'm still learning, but if you're willing to have me learn as I go, it's only $250. That's really cheap for a website." And the second one they charged 400, and they did it like that. You can't believe how cheap my first resume was. First resume that I wrote, even though I had been a corporate HR person for 1,000 years, I was shy, and I charged so little for the resume, and it went up because my confidence grew. It's the same thing with you, right? It's the same thing with you. You have to pick one pain point that you can solve for people. They have a disorganized office. You're going to come in and help them organize it, right? They can't keep track of their sales proposals. You're going to set up a little thing online with a database. I don't even know. Customer relationship management. You're going to set that up for them, and you're going to charge $100 an hour, and they're going to have you for 6 hours. You're going to get that $600, and it is going to feel different and better than your regular paycheck because you're doing your own business. And then the next time you're going to charge more. And every one of these high price consultants, don't be in awe of them. They're no one special. God bless them, but they're you. They've just been doing it longer and gaining confidence as they go. That is the key. We're getting stronger together. Okay, let's see. What else have we got? Yeah, I don't want to pour into those who don't value the beauty and innovation and creative that I bring. That's exactly right. You know what I say, Walida? Only the people who get you deserve you, and that isn't does not include every member of the human race. Yep. HR consulting plus managing people. Narrow that down a little bit, Walida. What does it mean? It's a little broad. What's the pain? What's the pain? Minimize liability. Look at me. You answer the question before I can even get it out through my lips. You're minimizing the people related liability. So genius. Good for you. It's fabulous. How can I start a consulting business without conflict of interest? For sure. You work in a company, especially a big company, you got to read the handbook. Some companies, there's two policies you're looking for in the handbook. Employee handbook, usually it's online. One is some companies have an anti-moonlighting, they call anti-moonlighting policy. Moonlighting means having another job apart from your regular job. I mean, unless you're, a firefighter or something where you have to be like sharp and alert for your shift. That's terrible. That's terrible. They don't own you. How can they tell you can't have a part-time job spinning records at weddings or selling stuff on eBay or whatever? It's none of their business what you do with your free time. It's ridiculous. But some companies do have these anti-moonlighting policies, and they wouldn't like it if you started consulting. So you have to check for that. Luckily, there are fewer and fewer of those all the time. And the other one is conflict of interest, and that has to do with the subject matter. The subject matter. So if you're an intellectual property attorney for your company full time working on patents and trademarks, you can't then go out and say, "Hey, I'll help other companies with their patents and trademarks." Your employer's going to say, "No, you're not." So you have to consult in a different area, which could be, it could be helping people do business contracts or some other kind of legal work. So the people have to worry a lot about the conflict of interest thing if they're going to consult part time, or lawyers, technical folks that are doing product development. In fact, I told you my background's HR. We regularly would recruit engineers for research and development, and we had they call inventions policy. They had to sign that said anything you invent here belongs to us, right? Not you. And so regularly, prospective employees, candidates would say, "Well, we have to carve out this one area here because this is a project I've been working on in my house for 6 years, and I'm not giving it to you guys. So if I do any work in that arena, in that technical realm, because you asked me to, that's cool, but I'm not going to give up my product." And of course, we signed it because they're absolutely right. We don't own them. We don't own their brain, right? So you have to look at the anti-moonlighting policy and inventions policy, if they have one. Probably they're not going to have had you sign something like that unless you're a technical person, okay? Because we don't want to have problems with your current boss, but also there's no reason to mention your part-time consulting to your current boss. It's none of their business. Be like saying, "Hey, by the way, just so you know, I adopted a puppy and it might take a little of my time outside of work." It's your life. "Hey, by the way, I just accepted a volunteer post in my town, so it might take up a little of my time." Let's get out of this feudal, feudal mentality. And I know we've been trained in this. The boss is the lord of the manor and they control every aspect of your life. And some bosses try to. They try to tell you what you can do with your free time. You know that happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to practically everyone, but we're shaking out that toxic lemonade now saying, "No, it's my life and I'm the CEO. You bought some of my time. You rented my attention, some of my time to perform a job, and I will. And I'll do it really well, but the rest of my time is my time." Right? It's not for you to say what I can do with my time. If I want to spend my time playing, what do the kids play now? I don't know. Super Smash Brothers Melee? I'm out of touch. You have to fill me in. Is there any platform for consultancy? Like what, Morteza? What would that look like? I'm not sure what we mean. Could be, I mean, people find consultants on LinkedIn and they use CRMs, customer relationship management software, the usual ones, Basecamp and Infusionsoft, and I don't even know. I'm it's not my area. You were amazing. Oh, thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for following me. My current employer loses lots of staff and ends up hiring them as consultants, being paid even more. Tanya, speaking the truth right now. That's what happens. A lot of times people say to their boss, "Hey, I want to start consulting and I should really be working for you as a consultant rather than full time because you don't even have enough work to keep me busy full time." And the boss says, "Yeah, what would you charge me on a consulting basis?" And they say, "Well, right now I'm getting paid $34 an hour here as a full time employee. How about if I raise that to $50 an hour and consult part time?" And the boss says, "Yeah, that'll save me money in my budget." And the consultant says, "And that'll save me time to go and get more clients. Plus, I'll have a testimonial of my first happy client who's just not any client, but my fast employer that said, 'We can't stand to lose you. When you go off on your own, you must stay and work with us as a consultant.'" It's a new day now. We got the wheel. We're driving the car, right? We're driving the car. And it's a little scary, but it's more fun than scary. One of my friends from high school is a big parachutist. He goes around the world in parachutes with like 80 other people and they make a ring in the sky. I don't even know. You've seen these videos sometimes, and there's like so many people in a simultaneous jump, you know. And I said, "Isn't it terrifying?" He said, "The first time I skydived, it was 100% terrifying." And I said, I was sick in my stomach. I hate this. It's horrible. And I said, "I'm gonna force myself to do it again." And the next time he did it, it was 99% scary and 1% fun. And then it just went down 97, 96, 95. Consulting's not like that. Your first project, I think you're gonna say, "Where have you been all my life consulting?" Because it is fun. It's fun to sit and talk with clients. You know why? Because we don't get enough validation, most of us. We don't get enough affirmation, especially at work. And when you're with a client talking and they say, "Oh, thank you, Tanya. The advice is so good." You're like, "Yay, I get to help someone and get paid." At work, we don't necessarily always feel like we're helping. Sometimes our manager acts like we're in the way. "Stop asking me questions," you know? And so having that consulting thing is like, "Oh, I knew I was like smart and capable and I can help people and it feels so good." Okay, let's see. Question wise. A lot of industry leaders have finally convinced me to start my own business after decades of pursuing it as they want to hire me. You see, people will tell you, "Become a consultant and I will hire you." Just getting my ducks in a row. That's so beautiful. Where do you say, how do you differentiate consulting from coaching teaching? You don't have to. You can coach and teach on a consulting basis, right? So you can set up your business and say, "I do whatever you do. I write business plans and I coach leaders. I coach, whatever you want to do in your You don't have to differentiate. Coaching and teaching are aspects of consulting. So consulting has to do with the relationship between you and the client. You're not working for them on a W-2 payroll when you're consulting, you're working for them as an industry professional. Employment's a little bit like this, isn't it? Employers up, we are down, we are nothing. Oh, thank you, sire, for the 2% salary increase, right? This is you saying, well, my fee for this type of work is normally $65 an hour. I would estimate this project at about 20 hours. That's going to be, oh, now I have to do math. That's going to be about Dagnabbit. 62 times 2, 65 times 2 is 130. That's going to be about $1,300. Does that work for you? You set the fee. At work, we don't set our rate. We don't set our pay. They say we're going to pay you X, and then at the end of the year, it's like you're waiting for crumbs. Can I get a 2.5% increase that isn't even going to cover the increase in my rent? But if you got that 2.5% increase and you said, well, it's not that much, but then you went back to a consulting client and had a conversation and they said, we have some more work we'd like you to do for us. What would it cost to do this or that? And you say, let me work up a little proposal. And when you go home, you think about it. You think about the preparation time, the research time, what the actual work will take in terms of hours. You give them a price and they say, yeah, that sounds really good. Or I can't afford to do all of it. What if we do the first half now? And, you know, or you say, yeah, if you commit to the whole thing now, I'll give you the price as though you had done the whole thing, but you only, will only step into the first part, but I'll still give you the price because I like you. It's power. And we deserve that. People deserve power over their time and their life and their income, don't they? Okay. I still have one of my first clients, which is my favorite from several years ago. I charged a lot less than. Oh, what a great question, Cassidy. I still have my old client that helped me and they got me started. And now, how do I change the rate? No, you change the rate. You change the rate. Times change. Everything goes up. Their electric bill went up. Everything goes up. So here's what you do. You let them down gently, or you let them up gently. You say, Jane, and you wait, obviously, until they need your help. You don't announce this out of the blue, but the next time they need work from you, you say, so Jane, I wanted to give you advance notice. What are we now, June 2nd? That July 1st, my rates are going up. So I wanted to give you advance notice for two reasons. One is that if you have more work you'd like me to do and you want to commit to that now and do a contract, then absolutely, let's talk about it in June. Let's make time to get that squared away because I want you to have the advantage of my current pricing for anything that you commit to in June. So now they have some urgency to give you a bunch of work and commit to it and commit to do the work by, say, October 1st or the end of the year. That's one reason you're going to give them advance notice of the price change. And the other reason is just so that they can emotionally get used to it. Because let's be honest, these work relationships have an emotional component. It's not just business. There's kind of like friends. And so you say, so, you've been my client for a long time. It's been great. And I have to raise my prices, obviously. We see what's happening to groceries and gas. And my time, is going up as well, cost of my time. So I wanted to give you a little advance notice here, almost the entire month of June, to think about that, but also to anything that's near term on your agenda. Let's get that nailed down because you'll get that price in June. And then raise it, raise it. My best friend is the therapist. And her consulting, her supervising therapist, which is something therapists do. They have a therapist that supervises them, right? And her therapist said, you have to raise your rates because you're hurting yourself and the market. It's not cool. Like your rates are way too low. And so she's giving all of her clients notice right now. Her rates are going up July 1st and they're going up a chunk, but they have to because they're way too low right now. And so she's telling them if they wanted to, they could find a different therapist, but they're not going to because, they're not going to. And your clients are not going to leave you either. And here's the thing. If you look up Liz Ryan at Northwestern on YouTube, you'll see me all impassioned speaking to a group of alums of Northwestern University. And this is what I'm telling them. It is not in the context of consulting, but just in general, when you speak for yourself about what you need in terms of salary or what you need in terms of consulting fees. Some people will leave. They're not used to being told, right? They're used to telling. They're used to telling other people what it's going to be like. And you say, well, I'd love to do this project. It's going to be $1,500 or $4,500 or whatever. Well, I'll have to think about that. I don't know if we'll be able to continue the relationship. You say, oh, I understand completely. And most of them will come back. A week later, they'll say, you know what, Cassidy, you're so amazing. We'll find the money. It's normal. It's part of life. Prices go up. You're going to raise your prices, Cassidy. The time has come. Okay. How do you price your services, especially starting out? Over time, you'll have fancier ways of pricing your services, but in the beginning, I would say an hourly rate. Every consultant needs an hourly rate. In fact, every person needs an hourly rate. I tell my kids, even the ones who are still little, they're teenagers, that's little to me. You got to have an hourly rate. My daughter, when she was 16, babysat a lot, $14, $15 an hour. And I said, are you doing piano lessons with these kids just to pass the time? She said, yeah, some of them, if they take piano. I said, so you're doing theory, music theory, which is understanding, the notes on the staff and the chords and all that stuff. She's a beast at music theory. And she said, yeah. I said, yeah, I charge for that. You have to charge for that. And she did a little flyer, and it was very cute. And it said, I can do music theory while I'm babysitting. We'll carve out an hour and we'll sit at the piano, or we'll sit with the child's harp or flute or violin or whatever, and we'll work on theory, which is very important, especially if the kid is serious about music. They have to know the theory. They get tested on that. And it's part of a music school audition if they decide to go on and study music in college. And she charged $40 an hour for the music theory coaching inside of the babysitting gig. And that was like 2010, because it's a very rare thing and you can't find a music theory coach. It's hard to find. And this is a babysitter who's already in your house, already has a great relationship with the child, and is a musician. So, it's this idea of identifying where people have a need that you can fill. My son also, those two kids, our oldest kids are twins. So when they were like 16, she was doing music theory coaching inside of babysitting, and he started a landscaping business. He doesn't know anything about landscaping. He was moving rocks around, moving dirt around, big, strong kid, called the business Husky Landscaping. Who's not going to call him, right? And he responded to notices in the neighborhood discussion group online that said, I have this huge pile of rocks in my yard, or I need to move some old lawn furniture or whatever for the junk truck to pick up. My son would be like, I'll do it. $20 an hour. I'll come over. I'll do it. And he just had his work gloves and he just went over there and did it. It was a great thing. It was all cash. And it's just great to be out there in the world, having a relationship where you know that you can help someone solve their problem and get paid. It teaches you so much more than we can often learn at our regular full-time job. Let's see. Chris is ready to go. Christopher, how do I start marketing myself? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. The first thing you're going to do is, before you start marketing yourself, zero in on what is that pain point you solve, because that's your strongest marketing message. Not, I'm an HR. I started consulting like, I'm an HR person, HR consultant, call me. Who's going to call me? That makes no sense. So what? There's a million HR consultants. I had to zero in on the pain point. Your HR processes are not in compliance with the law, or your people are not responding to your job ads. Let me help. So that's your first thing, Christopher, is what is the problem you solve? And you're going to brand yourself around that pain. And that's going to get people to contact you. You can put little status updates on LinkedIn, like you put out stuff in the feed on LinkedIn, and you say, a lot of people struggle with whatever it is, bing it a boom. Website copy is not compelling. It doesn't draw people in. They don't know how to write copy that gets engagement, gets contacts, and that's a big problem. I love to help people do this stuff. Boom. If you're working full time, you're going to probably not use LinkedIn for that, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay. So back to Ayanda's question, how do you price your services? You're going to start with an hourly rate. You have to look online. Let's say it's website copy. What do website copywriters get paid? What do website copywriting consultants get paid? Easy Google search. You can also take your current salary if you're going to do kind of similar work, or you would think it would pay about the same. Let's say your salary is $60,000 US a year. That's about $30 an hour. Now, that $30 an hour comes with it's continuous, right? As long as they need you. So you don't have to do business development, they pay you. You're getting 40 hours a week and comes with benefits usually. And so, and they take out taxes. That's a convenience. So you're going to take that $30 an hour. And as a consultant, you're going to charge like 50, 48, 45, 50. That's what people would expect to pay for the same services that you're giving your full-time employer as a regular employee, right? All right. Oh, Terrell, your book sits next to my Bible. That is so sweet. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Terrell is talking about my book Reinvention Roadmap, and I really appreciate you saying that. And my heart and soul is in that book. It's all about when you have run into a situation where your old career path is not tenable, it's not working anymore, how to reinvent and how to brand yourself and how to get a new job. And it includes a section on consulting. Um, have you ever estimated the wrong amount of time for the work, and what'd you do in those instances? What a great question. We're going to go a little bit over. So if you have to leave, it's so fine. Please leave a comment before you duck out. And this will also be recorded on LinkedIn for a few days. It'll be up there. And if you don't have to leave and you can stay, we'll be here like another maybe 15 minutes. Um, yes. What if you wrongly estimate the amount of time? So what happens is, Tanya, you can be under or over, right? We're all human. You listen to what they need and you give them a proposal. And the proposal is simple. It could be one page, it could be in an email, but it has three parts. The first part of the proposal is current scenario. So you put at the top. So you say, Dear Jane, thank you for chatting with me about your needs in the area of recruiting support. Here's my proposal for your consideration. Current scenario. I heard that you are not getting the response you want to your job ads and would like help with rewriting job ads and looking at your process and your initial candidate communications to increase the engagement and make more hires. Boom, current scenario. Second is recommendation or recommended services. I propose to take your current 15 job ads that are running on Indeed and LinkedIn and rewrite them and give you a template for future job ads. So you estimate, how long is that going to take me? Half an hour, 45 minutes per job ad. And then this template will really extrapolate from the ones I already wrote. It's maybe another hour, hour and a half, you kind of estimate. And then I will also take a look and get from you information I need to diagram the early steps of your recruiting process to see where there could be improvements. And I will also look at the initial communications that you send to candidates when their resumes are received. So you're talking, that's going to be 4, 6, 10 hours. It's going to be real time. Now, as you get into and she says, great, let's do it. Now, as you get into it, it can grow. It can get bigger, and you're going to be keeping careful track. You say, we're already at 8 hours. Would you like me to talk to these 4 hiring managers? Because that wasn't actually in the initial proposal. I'm happy to do it. It's going to be $100 an hour for me to talk to. You know what I mean? You're keeping tabs on it. If you overestimate, which can happen, you say, hey, Jane, just an update. I've rewritten the 15 job ads. I've got the template. I'm about to diagram the process as we spoke about. I've only used a few hours. I've only used 3.5 hours of the proposal, so we're in really good shape. So there's no problem if you're under, right? And if you're over, it's just a matter of communication. New consultants always undercharge and over deliver. It's normal. It's normal. And they donate time and stuff. My first few clients, I did everything. Should I come to your house and do the dishes? Because I was just so excited. And then over time, you kind of get settled and you don't do that anymore. Thank you, LinkedIn user, for saying you like the book too. I really appreciate that. So let's see. Do we have any more questions or are we ready to, let's see. Don't see any questions. So, how to get your first client. That's where we'll finish. How to get your first client. And I just want to encourage you to leave a comment if you have not um, down here, and I will try to respond to all the clients when this session is over. What did I say? Clients, all the comments. I'll try to respond to all the comments. Okay, the very first consulting client is probably going to be someone you know because it's like a test client. You want to do a test project for nothing or for cupcakes or free babysitting or hugs or dog sitting. It's to work through the process. You treat them like a regular, legit client and you talk to them about their needs. You do a proposal, you price the project out, you send them the proposal, you have them write back and say, yes, that sounds fine. And I will bake 2 dozen cupcakes for your block party because you are going to organize my family photos, whatever it is. And you do the project and then you're like, okay, now I'm ready to go. But your first paying client is probably going to be someone who sees your content on social media. If you can't use LinkedIn because you're consulting alongside your regular job, it might be Twitter. You might start a Twitter account, and that's where you do your consulting. So many people use their Twitter account for consulting. And I mean, also people that do tarot reading and astrology, and they're on Twitter, and their posts are very compelling and they get a lot of business and they get a lot of people. What's great is they get testimonials right there on Twitter saying, you did a reading for me and it was amazing and it's helped me so much. And it's like, well, there's my next 5 clients are going to come in from that, right? Your friends and family will help you spread the word. I understand this is a big concern for new clients, new consultants. Where am I going to get my clients? But you get one and then you get another one. And then eventually you're going to have too much work if you really put time into this. And then you're going to say to your friends, who else does this kind of work? Because I need to partner. I get too many jobs. Sometimes they might get too many jobs and we can help one another. All right. What if you've worked in different industries? That's the great thing about consulting, Terry. It doesn't matter if you worked in different industries. It doesn't matter if you don't have a degree. It has nothing to do with anything, right? Unless you're doing a kind of consulting that specifically requires a degree. You can consult. I talk to young kids and older people every day who are consulting in areas they never worked in professionally. They taught themselves, they learn as they go. This is the area where you can do that. The regular corporate world is where, oh no, you have the wrong degree and you don't have this certification, forget it. The consulting, it's not like that. Can you solve a problem that people have? Then the word is going to spread. It's a beautiful thing. People with, they used to call checkered backgrounds, not a traditional linear background, where they've taken a bunch of different breaks from work over the years to do other things. No one cares. They don't ask for your resume. You don't fill out an application. You start a conversation. And a lot of that is people coming to you because they read something that you wrote or said on YouTube or TikTok or Twitter or anywhere. I help neighborhood development create pilot programs to tackle communication plus connectivity issues with inner city and rural areas in IBM's sister company. I was contracted as in-house productivity, in-house detective equals pain points, productivity, liability. Absolutely, absolutely, positively. That is you could contact anybody. You could contact cities, their person in charge of neighborhood development and underserved neighborhoods. You could absolutely reach out to them and say, I've been doing this kind of work. You got IBM, one of the biggest brand names there is. That's it. That's your calling card right there. And that's a pain point. Get clear on that pain that you solve. That is I have an MBA. How do I leverage? That's the name of the game, Terry. No one's going to hire you as a consultant just because you have an MBA, but they're going to hire you because you say, having just recently completed my MBA program or having completed my MBA program, 6 years ago or whatever, I'm excited to help people create their business plans. They don't know how to do that. How to do forecasting. They don't know how to do that. Small business, they have no idea how to get financing, how to get funding from the government, all these things. I want your creative juices to flow. I want this to be a creative and fun project for you if you decide to step into it now or at any point in the future, right? This is you in your power, in your gifts, in your creative space. It's a really important thing. It's personal, but it's out to the world. And it's you in your power getting paid. because you deserve that. All right. You folks are amazing, as always. I'm so happy that you joined me today. We're going to sign off and just leave a comment. And you know what? It's all good. It's all starting, and it just grows and grows and grows from here. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. And I'm going to be back next Thursday, June the 9th, also at 1 o'clock Eastern time. If you have an idea what you'd like me to talk about next week, put it in the comments and I will read them all. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.